Hey, security peeps. I am excited to be back. I am Renee Small. I am here today with two phenomenal people. I am here with my co host, Chris Foulon. Say hi, Chris.
Hey everyone.
And our special guest today, Charles Karanja. Say hi, Charles.
Hi.
So, this is our new webinar series, and we're super excited to kick it off today because we responded to you all when we realized that you hear more about what it's like to break into cybersecurity as a new professional. So, specifically for the folks that are under 5 years experience, we want to know and we wanted to talk directly to people who've been breaking into the industry right now. And so our first guest today is Charles. He just recently broke into the industry in, did you say June?
July.
July. So literally less than 2 months ago. So he is hot off the presses, just broke into the industry. And he is super excited to tell us what he did. And we really want to know all your questions. Exactly. Maurice said it is sizzling. Yeah, sizzling hot. Hot off the presses. We want to know what Charles did to break into the industry and how he. So, Charles, the first question for you is please tell us about yourself, tell us about your background, and what did you do prior to breaking into cybersecurity?
Before cybersecurity, I was working for a charity. My role was a pastoral officer, an organization that has a church and also has many other different functions with it. My responsibilities, apart from helping run the database system within the organization, I also had different responsibilities, helping out, counseling, dealing with different issues, going to speak in different schools, and just managing a team also of people that I had. So something totally different from what cybersecurity is. Totally different. I was there for about 10 years.
And what about
For 10 years.
Wow, 10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And what about cybersecurity made you interested in joining the community?
Before I started working with the charity, I'd already started having an interest. From when I was a young person, I had an interest in IT. And growing up, I always used to ask myself, how do we protect people from anybody from stealing the information that's there? What goes on? And I never had the opportunity to be able to go to a place, to school, to learn and everything. Just didn't have the opportunity. And then 2016, went for a funeral of a friend of my dad and sat down and just reflected on the words that he always used to speak. His obituary had those famous words, don't die with your dreams. And I remember coming out of that funeral and thinking and saying, Charles, you always have this thing about cybersecurity. You're always interested in any movie with hackers, any series, Mr. Robot, you name them. I'm there looking to see it, learn. Okay, yeah, and always thinking, I could do that. Maybe I could do that. I could learn it. And 2017 came around. Getting married, and then my wife was like, okay, let's get this dream on the way now and let's see what we can do about it. And from there, just looked around for how can I learn, where can I learn, who can I go to. I didn't know anybody in cybersecurity. All my friends, I asked them, do you know anybody in this? And they were like, what are you talking about? Nobody knows, nobody does this, nobody does this. Why do you want to be a hacker? Why do you want to be this? And unfortunately for many of them, they have a negative mindset of a hacker and not think about the fact that they can be an ethical hacker. And from there, I got the learning people, and they were great. And they just told me, okay, you can do this. Before that, we had WannaCry. When WannaCry, the ransomware took place, my wife was working in a hospital at that time, and everything just came to a standstill here in the NHS. Well, thanks to, I saw some news clip that basically one of the guys was involved in it, has been arrested in the US. And just WannaCry really was just it. My wife couldn't understand, what's this? And we'll talk about my love for cybersecurity. And I was looking for school and everything. But WannaCry was what really drove it home for her when I explained to her what WannaCry was, how it affected everything, and why even if you weren't paying those guys, you weren't going to get anything back with ransomware. You'd have to pay a lot of computers for the entire NHS here. And so from there, the learning people got me on and they told me, Charles, this is what we want you to do. since you don't have really IT experience, do you mind learning from the basics? And I said, I don't mind. I want to learn from the basics. I have no issues with that. And so they put me on a course, basically. So I took on CompTIA A+. And then from A+, I moved to Network Plus. From Network Plus, I took Security Plus. And then from there, they gave me Certified Ethical Hacker course to do. Did that, I passed each exam first time. And from there, they were very helpful. They were like, okay, now give us your CV. The lady there called Kerry, who was really like, just bring your CV and let's see this. Charles, we love your passion. What I was expected to cover in 1 year and a half, I did that in less than 5 months.
Wow.
I devoted myself. There was nothing else I was doing. And my wife, having just seen the way I could understand WannaCry, she was like, no, this is your job now. Just do this. Just get up and let's get over with this. And let's do this. And let's learn and everything. And I mean, at the same time, you're just seeing the jobs being advertised. And you're thinking, wow, the jobs will come quickly. It didn't happen like that.
Wow. So tell me something. 2 things. One, is your wife now studying? Is she a cybersecurity professional now?
No. She's passionate about public health. She's passionate about public health. So
we could bring her over. She could be like security and public health or something. No.
Okay. 2 of us in this would be trouble. So let's just leave one of us.
What were some of the challenges that you faced breaking into security before, during, and after that you'd want to share with everyone going through a similar phases as you went through?
I think the first challenge is getting people who can easily tell you what you need to learn, what you need to do. I found initially the doors I would knock, even on LinkedIn, ask questions, and many people would be like, what are you doing? And even on Reddit, you'd find some people telling you, do this, do this, do this, but not really the practical side of it. I'm a practical guy, and I'd find sometimes that I can't find people who would be willing to sit down with you to show you this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. But I did get people at the end of the day. The other challenge that really is something people need to have is patience. Patience, if you're an impatient person, cybersecurity is going to tear you down. You're going to get bored. You're going to leave. You're going to run. It's not something that I would say is an easy job if you're just looking and thinking, this is it. Don't look at the money that's being thrown about, that people are saying you can easily earn this. You may just go to Glassdoor and just type and see what's the average salary of anybody who's a penetration tester, and they'll give you a nice 6-figure for the US. Don't do that. Be patient. Patience is the thing. So I have to keep reminding myself. I mean, I got the job, started in July, and forgot to switch off on basically the normal recruiters should look for me. And within a month, I already had recruiters looking for me, offering me, oh, this job, oh, you've worked there long enough. You know, the job's always going to be there. And I just had to just tell them nicely and calmly, I believe in first being loyal to somebody. And I'm building my cybersecurity experience. I don't want it to look like I'm a rabbit hopping all over. I want to build and build properly. So I think one of the biggest challenges anybody getting in is going to face is the ability to say no. It doesn't matter what money is being offered or anything. I need to build and build for where I'm going. And if you build yourself properly, in a few years' time, you'll be somewhere great. Very great.
Definitely. And keeping money not as a motive, because if money is your motive, you could be turned to the dark side very easily. So keeping that passion is definitely important.
That's very true. Very, very true. Because I had I had an offer 3 weeks ago, and when I looked at the money, what I'm making and what I was being offered, and I was like, no way, I'm not doing this. I'm going to keep what I'm doing, because where I am, I'm in a great organization that's willing to help me learn. They understand that I've just gotten my foot in, and they're willing, and I'm in a great place. So I'm not looking to move or anything. And another thing about money, if you go running for money, very soon people will discover that you're hollow. then you don't really have substance within you. And you get substance when you stay in a place and build and you become established. And then people will be able to respect you more.
Yeah, that's a good point. Quick question for you. From doing the A+ to getting to the Security Plus and then the Certified Ethical Hacker, you said that took you about 5 months?
Yes.
In total?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And then a question came in from Samuel. He asked, he mentioned someone or an institution helping him prepare for his certification. So
an organization here in the United Kingdom called the Learning People.
The Learning People in the UK.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a lady there who was helping me called Kerry.
And for some individuals, a timeline on that perspective, myself, when I was going through a similar transition back in 2009, I did 2 months for my A+, 2 months for my Net Plus, and 1 month for my Security Plus back then. So it definitely takes the time and devotion in making sure that you understand the material and you're not just going for the paper on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also important because you're going to use something somewhere.
Definitely, definitely. Charles, what do you do to keep current now that you've broken into security with the latest evolutions and what's happening? How do you keep current?
Anybody who is looking to break in, this question is not just important for how do you keep current when you're in cybersecurity. This is a question I kept hearing recruiters asking also. How do you keep current? Make sure you keep abreast with blogs. Make sure on Twitter you are following news makers in cybersecurity. That's how I got in touch with you, the two of you, because I went out looking for different people who are making news in different ways. Renee was out there doing things to do with HR. I was looking to get a job, so I found that what she was sharing on LinkedIn were things that would help me along the way. She may be across the pond over in the US and I may be in the UK, but there's certain things that will apply here and there. I can take and just twist a few things and see what they can work. And then the few posts that you were sharing, Chris, that would just help me learn. Okay, learn about this, learn about this. I would advise anybody, even myself, I keep looking to see what can I learn. We woke up, not really woke up, yesterday evening. I'm sure you might have heard about this, but British Airways discovered that basically there was money, a lot of information, 380,000 people's financial information was missing. Now, with the current laws here in Europe, they're looking at a very big fine, very big fine. And in fact, everybody's shaking because if it's going to go the way the law states, they may be looking at a fine of approximately £500 million.
Yeah, definitely. What about from a security aspect? What are some of the things that you would recommend? Are there mentors that you've had? Are there resources that you've used that you have found very helpful in you breaking in that you wanted to share?
One of the first things I'd say is look for a local chapter meeting of cybersecurity people around where you are. Over in the US, you have a bit more than we have here in the UK. For me, I was glad to find that I actually have a massive OWASP local chapter meeting here. And with them from there, I get to go over once a month or twice a month whenever the meetings are on. I just get to talk to people there, get to hear what their stories are, get tips from them. I had never thought about a SOC analyst job until a gentleman came there and spoke about it, because I was trying to see where do I get in. I was applying for everything and anything, from director. Oh yeah, I'll even go for director jobs. Just they can say no, but at least I'll learn something new from them. And that was just it. And from there, just kept looking around. As I learned about a SOC analyst from a few people who were there, then I started looking and thinking, this could be my way in. I could just go in and apply for this and just see how I can get the job and see what I need to do.
One of the questions from someone in the audience was, while you were looking to break into security, how long was your job search from quote unquote start to until you were able to break in?
I got my certified ethical hacker exam, did that end of October. So November, and then it was in May, end of May, when I was called by my current employer for first interview.
So about 7 months. Wow, that's some dedication to finding the right role.
What I would do is every day I make sure I'd wake up early in the morning and make it my business. My job description at that point was I'm looking for a job, but at the same time, I also got to learn a few things. One of the few things I'll tell anybody looking to get into cybersecurity, get a project, do something. You may have heard about Hack the Box. Go in there and put it in there. You'll be very surprised. Anybody who's in Hack the Box will find that even there in Hack the Box, they're advertising jobs, just depending on what qualifications and what you have. So if you can be able to get in there, an employer will look and think, this person is dedicated, this person is passionate. Another thing I learned was over the wire. It was great for me to be able to develop my Linux skills. And over the wire is a great tool to help you develop your Linux skills. There's so many things out there. Currently, even right now as we're talking, I've just begun something called Virtual Hacking Labs. Because I'm preparing I want to do OSCP sometime later. Yeah. And having gone through Reddit and asked, where can I do, what can I do, looked at a few questions people had raised there. I saw that, well, there are two ways I could learn, because everybody says OSCP is such a tough exam. And I didn't want to spend $1,000 and then fail. So I said, I prepare myself. So I took the option of Virtual Hacking Labs.
Yeah, then other recommendations might be local conferences that have capture the flag type events that actually operationalize your skills. And most of those events are run by more senior individuals that are willing and able to help you walk through the steps or the thought patterns needed to capture the flag and to help you along the way if you're a rookie or if you're someone that's new coming into the industry.
So Charles, a couple of questions that came through, there are 3 of them. The first one is from Najla. Self-study for those exams. How much time did you devote to the studying of each exam?
My day would just basically consist of from 9 to 5, really. And then after we've had dinner or something with my wife, we'll spend some time relaxing and everything. I'll then put in 3 hours before going to bed. Yeah. The closer the exams got, the closer, like I remember when I was doing the ethical hacker exam, there were days I was pushing 18-hour days.
Wow, that's some dedication.
Yeah. Wow.
Gotta do it. It's a dream. When it's a dream, you have to push, you have to burn the midnight oil.
You do what you have to do. So the next question is, how do you determine what you are worth in terms of salary? This is from Jesse. In terms of salary, in my experience, I don't see work experience and education equals salary. He's not seeing that in his experience, and I can ask the question. I can jump in if you want.
Yeah, go ahead from an HR perspective.
For me,
from an HR. Go ahead, Charles.
For me, I remember like when I went for the interview. One of the challenges that is there and is that the market is so crazy with jobs at the moment. Everybody is asking about the money and everything. And for me, I remember when I went, I already knew what the mean is when you're an entry-level SOC analyst. I already knew what the average is within the UK. And I was pretty surprised when I got much more than what I even was asking for. Don't aim too high, is my advice to anybody. It's better you take the average and let them surprise you.
That's really good advice. And I would say from an HR perspective, especially nowadays, there's pretty easy ways to find out salary ranges to see if you're within those various ranges. So one place where I always send people to look for jobs is Indeed, Indeed.com, because a lot of the times they will have the ranges or the approximate ranges when you look at the job descriptions. Another place is Glassdoor. So Glassdoor, typically people say what their salaries are. So there's pretty much, you can find information that gives you a range of what an early career person is going to be. And when, Jesse, I don't know specifically when you say work, you don't see work experience and education equals salary. Typically, if the position is, 0 to 2 years, they usually go 0 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years, and then 5 years and up. So it's typically salary ranges that kind of fit in that with the experience, with the expectation that most of these companies are asking for a 4-year degree. Some don't, but the expectation is you have a 2 or 4 year degree with a little bit of experience. So that is what I would do anytime you're looking for various roles that are entry level. And by experience, they mean that you have actually typically worked in an organization somewhere for 1 year or for 2 years. So your projects, your volunteer stuff usually doesn't count from a salary perspective. That's what I've seen in the market, more or less. Question number 3 that came in, another one from Jesse, was, how did you determine what realm you wanted to work in? That's for you, Charles. How did you determine what area you wanted to work in?
I sat down and looked around and saw certain things in cybersecurity. One of the things I'm appreciating right now is cybersecurity is still evolving. So certain things are not pretty much set in stone. It's not like in accounting, you find that you have a cost accountant, you have a management accountant, you have a financial accountant. Cybersecurity is still evolving in certain parts. But one thing I didn't really want to do so much of was compliance. At the end of the day, I want to be able to be a bit more technical. But I do appreciate one thing. If I'm going to rise to certain levels, I need to have a certain grasp of compliance. So a SOC role for me would allow me to be able to get in, and it would have certain things that would be able to teach me certain things. With the SOC role, I found that there's certain systems companies use, and with all those systems, not only is it going to look good on your CV, but it's also going to help you understand all that goes into forensics for a data breach. It's going to help you understand what you need to do. You may want to do a role that's totally different than a SOC role. Many people don't like being SOC analyst because of the hours. If you're working in a 24-hour, 7-day, 365 days, some people don't like that whole thing. And SOCs usually have got one big challenge. After a while, they're constantly recruiting because people are constantly leaving them. But I've come to a place of appreciating that a SOC role may be one way of going in. You may also go in as a junior penetration tester, but I find for that, within the UK, you need to have at least passed your OSCP if you're going to get any job like that.
Okay.
So I've also seen, and that's pretty good advice and good information. I've also seen, I'm actually currently working on a couple of entry-level roles, and I've seen entry-level compliance analyst. Obviously, the SOC analyst is a really good entry-level role that people have been, a lot of folks that have come up in the security space started out in the SOC as a SOC analyst. And for anyone on here that doesn't know what a SOC analyst is, it's a SOC stands for Security Operations Center. So that role, I also have right now, I'm working on a threat intel analyst, and they're also looking for people at the low level. So it kind of depends in terms of the organization, the location. You know, there definitely opportunities do show up for early career talent. It's just really trying to find those opportunities that are out there that will give you the opportunity to learn and grow and realize that every single person isn't going to come in with more than 5 years experience.
Yeah, One of the
So,
advices that I give a lot is you can get involved in security in no matter what job you're doing. So whether you're a web developer, you're a programmer, you're an accountant, whatever your role is, there's controls and ways to integrate security into that. You also have transferable skills that you can use in those roles that will transfer over to cybersecurity. So
Yeah.
if you're looking to explore your field, explore what transferable skills you have in your current role and how those align to other roles in cybersecurity. And that will possibly make your transition easier because you already have skills that are used maybe in a different way. So for example, in a SOC analyst, you're looking at logs, you're looking for patterns, you're looking for anomalies. Those sort of skills can be used in an accounting field. So you're using to transfer those skills over into cybersecurity. And that's one way you can make yourself a more valuable to a future company, because you can show, hey, these are the skills that I already have from my other roles. And that's how they'll bring value to your organization.
excellent. Chris, that's such a valid point. I was in HR and moved into a cybersecurity role, was a SOC analyst, was a program manager, did a ton of different things, and my leader utilized my HR background. I've been actually interviewing CISOs over the past year, specifically about people that they've transitioned into security. And some of the awesome people I speak with, even, I'm thinking of Gina right now, who I spoke with a couple of days ago, who transitioned from being a private investigator into cybersecurity. They've had people who have been poker players who transitioned into cybersecurity, administrative assistants that transitioned to cybersecurity, all because of the different types of skills that they brought to the table. One leader, one CISO told me they really liked the front desk person because of her attention to detail, and realized that type of person would be great sitting as an analyst that could, diligently go through logs. So there's all these different skill sets that can be transitioned into security. So Chris, your point is so valid, that you have to think about, sometimes people need to take a step back and think about what they currently have, what they bring to the table, and how the things that come easy to them can fit into the cybersecurity.
Charles, I know we have just a couple minutes left. If you had to offer one piece of advice, sage advice, to someone who's trying to break into security, what might that one piece of advice be?
I'm going to say one thing, but I'm first going to tell you this. I applied for almost 250 jobs before I got to this one. And the key to all this was persisting to see my passion come alive. My advice to anybody out there who's looking to get into cybersecurity: keep your passion alive by being persistent in fueling it. Do whatever you need to do to keep fueling your dream to be alive. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean it's never going to open. That was my attitude every day. I would wake up in the morning and keep believing that, you know what, there's a door that's going to open for me. So just be passionate and be persistent in that, getting that passion to fly.
That
is amazing advice.
I was going to say that's an amazing advice. And to flip it into the cybersecurity perspective, you as a defender trying to defend an organization, you have to be persistently defending the organization, as attackers and criminals will also be persistently trying to get in. They just have to get in once. You have to be right all the time trying to defend them. So that persistence will definitely pay off in the long run for you.
That's true.
Absolutely. So there's a couple things I'm trying to be cognizant of everyone's time. It is 12:29, so we're gonna wrap. Someone, Lavinia asked 200 jobs. Yep, 200 jobs he applied to. Caleb wants to know what are good entry-level jobs after someone obtains A+ Network Plus and Security Plus. So like we said, SOC analyst, threat analyst, any role that's a security-focused role or can align to security that is asking for someone that has like 0 to 1 year or 0 to 2 years experience. I also wanted to bring up the fact that next week this is going to be a weekly series. So I'm excited to bring Brenitra Lee. And Brenitra is awesome because she also had a different background before getting into breaking into cybersecurity. She also just recently broke into the field. And she and I had talked numerous times about her background. If I remember correctly, I think she has a PhD in electrical engineering, and then started to transition into the security field. So I'm excited to have her speak with us next week. I'm also, many of you probably have touched base with me a little bit about, I'm looking to create a boot camp for you all to help you break into security. So many of you, I think some of you or many of you had been in a part of the 7-day challenge that went really well. I got some good feedback. I'm still talking to people about feedback, and I want to expand it and do something more in depth, and something to help you all get to where you need to be, hopefully without having to apply to 200 roles like Charles did. You're getting a little bit more focused. So Charles, Chris, I really appreciate both of you being here. Charles, thank you again for being our very first guest. And I am super excited. I put both of their LinkedIn links are in the file or in the chat box. And if anyone has any questions, you guys know how to reach us all. Thank you again, and have a great
Thank you.
week.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, guys.